Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays. How you doing? Been a while since I've done a Blade and Sorcery episode, but I still have something cool to talk about today, and that is something I've kind of been dragged into by accident. The whole EAS community thing. Anyway, we'll get to that in just a second. I hope you're doing well today, wherever you are, whether it's day or night, doesn't matter to me as long as you're coming to hang out. And we're on a different map on Blade and Sorcery. I don't remember what this one's called. It's a shipwreck, and this is some of the newer patch content. Anyway, so what I wanted to talk about today is it's kind of interesting because. Well, I'll get to that in just a second. First, today we want to do our first traditional slow motion kill today. We are in survival mode. This is the upgraded survival mode with the patch. I haven't played this in a while, so we'll see what's going on here. What? Okay, it made me like actually go, yes, I want that. Seriously? All right, let's get things kicked off with our first traditional slow motion kill today. Here we go. Oh my gosh, what just happened? Okay, where's my slow-mo? There we go. Let's get that taken care of while he's going down. Oh, did that work? I think that worked. Wow, what is happening? What is going on? Anyway, with that out of the way. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get to today's topic. Okay, so if you've been checking out my channel lately, you might notice I've been doing some different stuff. And what it is I wanted to... this new map is hectic as hell. What I wanted to do is make some content that would be fun and different for me, and just, you know, in general... something that I've always wanted to do, and this was like 11 months ago. I got this idea. I just wanted to do an EAS because, you know, I'm a big fan of the of the EAS community. I think it's a cool thing. The whole genre in general. Excuse me. If you don't know what the EAS community is, EAS is emergency alert system, so it's those like simulated disasters that happen. Again, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's a whole thing here on YouTube and all over the place. And so they simulate these disasters, and it's the radio break-ins and stuff that happen, all that stuff. And it's kind of cool, you know. It's a nice... What is going on? It's a nice like thing to do when you want to just chill out and maybe, you know, immerse yourself in some sort of disaster, something like that, right? So it's something that I enjoy. You know, being in radio for so long that I was, it was something that it gave me this, I don't know, whenever they cut in and I was on the air, it's like, it was so spooky, right? It's like just the idea of suddenly your broadcast gets overridden by the government, right, in some capacity, because there's something really messed up going on that they want to tell you about or tell everybody about. And so the point is that they're always like, just as soon as that alert tone comes on, you kind of freak out a little bit, and then, like, you know, you find out what's going on. Maybe it's a tornado or a thunderstorm. Well, the EAS community likes to go a little further and say, oh, it's a nuclear bomb, or, you know, aliens have invaded, or whatever it is. We'll get to that in a second, all that stuff. Oof. But, you know, so they like to just kind of amp it up. And, you know, that's cool. It allows you a little chance to, you know, like I said, immerse yourself in some of the doom and gloom involved in it, right? Well, I got this idea, and because I had been in radio and seen stuff like, listened to stuff like War of the Worlds, we actually studied that in broadcast college as a good example of, you know, of radio work and editing and like live sound. It's called Foley, right? When you do your own sound live for something. Like, you know, you take a pair of boots and you crunch them with your hands through some gravel or something, you know, stuff like that. And so it's always been like this this iconic thing, you know, War of the Worlds or whatever other radio dramas. Back in the 40s, 50s, early 60s, the golden age of radio dramas, right? Like The Shadow and Amos and Andy, and all the famous ones from back then, Little Orphan Annie and everything. And so I just got inspired one day, and I was like, I want to make one of these things. They seem fun and cool, and I've hadn't done one since I was in broadcast college, where it was a project that I had to do for I don't remember what it was. I think it was an editing test, but it was like, edit together a radio drama thing. So I did one then. I have no idea. I don't remember what it was. Nothing like that. By the way, if I sound a little funny today and I keep like doing this stuff, it's allergy season again where I live, because it's gotten warm and all the pollen is out. So I'm a little throaty right now. Anyway, so I got this idea. I wanted to do one, and I was just like, what do I pick? And there's always been a topic that has fascinated me, and it has been asteroids. The idea that we're in this huge cosmic shooting gallery, right? And so the idea was, I was like, okay, well, I'll do one where I talk about an asteroid coming, and it's gonna kill everybody, and I was like, it should be fun. I should be able to do something decent. And so I put out I'd worked like 2 weeks or something on the thing, and I put out this video, and lately, for some reason, it's been catching on with people. And so if you're someone who has joined our crew here because you saw the EAS, welcome aboard. Literally, I'm kind of a goofy person, you'll find out. So while I'm chopping up all these people, don't worry. This is just a training exercise to keep my anger down. Anyway, so what when I put out this thing, I thought it would be fun, and it was very fun. It was very fulfilling. It was something that I felt good about. I like doing all the vocal work because I used to do voiceover work in the community, not the community, in the industry. I did voiceover work and acting and all that stuff, and I wanted to get a chance to give my audience something that was fun. And so, because usually I do videos like this where I just talk about dumb shit and like play this video game and stuff, because it's just, goodbye. It's just fun for me to be able to just talk about topics while I'm chopping people up. So, did something different, and it was really fulfilling. Like I said, it's something that made me feel very good when I finally listened to it. And like I listened to it and I teared up a little bit in parts where I had some particularly emotional lines, and I told my wife, she was like, should I listen to it? And I'm like, I don't know. You're probably not going to want to listen to me die, basically. Because, and so she never did, but she watched my newer one that I put out, and we'll get to that one in a second. She watched that one, and she got a little emotional as well. But that's something that I started hearing comments about from people like, dude, this was really good. It kind of stirred my emotions. Where are you? What the Anyway, when I kept hearing like that the emotions were good, and like that it was nice having a real DJ to take care of things, a real radio guy, and that felt good, right? It felt nice to hear that it was something that connected with the audience. And then I started seeing these comments on it. They're like, dude, you need to make another one. I got some emails, some direct messages and stuff. And people were like, you need to do more of these things. And I was like, I don't really want to. It's not really my thing. Well, okay, I had enough people that were asking about it. And I kind of got an itch again to do it. And so just to prove it to myself, because I did a podcast about this a couple weeks ago, and it was, the basic idea being that I saw all these AI slop channels out there cranking out these AI videos constantly. Just non-stop EAS, 2 beheading swords. Non-stop, just cranking out story after story, and they get weirder and weirder, and it's the same puppets just being, saying different things on a different script that's slightly different than the one they did a week ago, and not also different than the one they did a month ago, and they put out like 6 of these a month or 4, it's ridiculous. And there's so many out there. And go watch the podcast, go listen to that podcast. I'll link it right up here. It kind of explains more about what like my problem is with that stuff. And I'll get into a little bit more on that in a minute here as well. So, excuse me. So the idea was I wanted to kind of stand up against all the nonsense and prove that I could make one again that was nice, that was engaging and a little different than all the other ones, because that one is the idea is that you're stuck in a studio with me. Oh jeez. You're stuck in a studio with me and I'm going through a disaster. I won't give it away if you haven't seen it. It's the Fallout Reckoning. It's just a couple videos back on my channel. No problem. Take a look. But I went and I wanted to do one where you're trapped in the studio with me. Let's say you're just kind of like, passive observer, right? That's the point of view of the movie. You're like basically up in the corner watching. And so that's kind of it's not entirely unique, but I don't see a lot of them out there that are like that. Okay. So I did that. It was fun. Again, very, very fulfilling. Got to do a lot of asset building and a lot of, sound effect layering and some video editing. For some reason, I really enjoyed doing the EAS like screens and breaks. For some reason, I don't know. It's like, I guess it's like the difference between eating really good food and being able to cook really good food, right? Because you can just go into the kitchen and like make some good food anytime you want, right? And it's kind of like with the thing with the EAS, it's suddenly I realize that I can make that same fun thing that I've been listening to for years, right? Okay. So with all that said, I got some comments on this one as well that were like, this is really cool. Are you going to make more of these? And give me a minute. Okay. So I got some comments about my podcast and the last couple of EAS things that I did, and they were stuff like, oh, this is really good. And then I had one person, and if you're listening, you're blocked from my channel, so you can leave all the comments you want. No one's even good. But so I had this one guy that was like, you're really good, you should do this and that, you should do this and that. Did you know there's a community and stuff? And you should go on Discord and check all these people out. Hey, give me your email so we can message back and forth. I'd love to do some work with you. And I'm just like, okay, but I was trying to be nice at first because it was like he just sort of love bombed me with messages. And so I was like, all right, bro. And then one of the things he said was that the EAS community, quote unquote, is really toxic. Can I kill those birds? Can I kill those birds? Oh, come on. Anyway, so I can. I think. I don't know. But he said, he said that the EAS community is very toxic. And I was like, I would imagine it is, because there's a lot of people that do a lot of art on these things. And, one thing that I have gotten pissy about when I watch these things, having been in radio and having actually lived through a great number of disasters that use the EAS, everything from tornadoes and, thunderstorms to hurricanes, earthquakes, I've had my fair share of sitting on the radio, talking into the microphone, and then that horrible comes through, and it's just like, you sit back and you're like, oh well, let's see what this is, right? So having gone through my fair share of these things over the years, it has annoyed the ever-loving crap out of me. When these channels that do them, like, they don't even follow the rules, the basic rules of an EAS, right? It's like these people are trying to create something that they've never seen before. It's like they're like a Chinese knockoff company. Like they see a product and they go home and like reverse engineer it, but they just don't do it. I don't like that whole trigger to confirm thing. Anyway, it's like they go home and reverse engineer it, and that's kind of like what people do, except they get it wrong, just slightly wrong. But it's annoying to me because it's like there's such a simple like formula. There's such a simple pattern to it, and it's 3 long tones, right? And then a long 8-second tone, and then the message, and then 3 tones. And then 3 tones, and then 3 short tones, right? And even further than that, if you've ever listened to real ones, there's a very specific set of sounds that comes when that happens. So what happens is you get those, they're wake up tones, right? It transmits a code to the encoder box. And that code is like, location and type of warning and who's issuing it and where it, specifically northeast something, northwest something. Wow, were his eyes red? Interesting. And so the first bursts come out, those 3 long ones have information encoded in them, okay? And then the 3 short ones, and then the long 8-second tone at the beginning is the hey, pay attention tone. It's basically for you or for anybody else that's like, around the radio, like the DJ if I'm off having a smoke or something. That's loud enough that I'm definitely gonna hear it outside, because in the studio, those are a little different. Oh, hello. Those are a little different than they are like, when you hear it on the radio. It's a little louder, because they want to make sure that wherever you are, if you're off taking a dump or something, you hear that shit so you know what to do. And so that's the attention tone. And then there's a part where the attention tone and the information tones stop, and it's just a brief moment where there's a bit of connection and then static. The connection and static are very important because it is transitioning from the informational tones to the information and the audio message. And there's this very specific cut in and sound. Now, whether it's a digital kind of high scream sound or whether it's a bit of static, right? You hear a specific key in of the audio track, okay? And then it comes through, and then that little thing cuts off abruptly, and then you get your end tones. Okay. But there are a lot of channels. That was a really long explanation for something. Some of you that watch the EAS stuff will know precisely what I'm talking about. Some of you are probably like, this is really detailed stuff, and it is. And that's the problem. All right. So this community of people that he referenced, I had a little look-see into it. And it's, it's all over the place. It's Reddit, Discord, it's on different forums here and there. There's websites for, the different EAS communities, like ones that like to do weather ones. There are people that discuss them and how to do them, how the what the people. Okay, that's kind of creepy up there. It's the whole community thing, whatever kind of community you're in, what kind of activity they do, right? It's just the, hey, we're excited about this. Hey, did you see this? Hey, what do you think about that? Oh, this is a piece of work I made. What do you think? It's the same with Blade and Sorcery forums, right? They have all these people that are, hey, look at my work. Hey, what's going on? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And it's there. It's not so bad on a base level, because you see people discussing things and giving ideas to each other and all sorts of decent stuff like that. But then you dig a little deeper, and there is this boiling cauldron of gatekeeping and douchebaggery and absolute just nonsense that goes on. And the thing is that's funny about this is I'm halfway in between all of them, so it's it's this kind of drama, and I don't do drama on this channel, so I'm not going to name any names specifically here. Ooh, okay, I gotta stir up real quick. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. I'm not gonna stir up any specific drama. What I do want to do is point out some of the. Damn it, I'm not going to get used to that for quite a while. So the thing is, I'm very neutral on it, but I'm able to see it, and it's weird because okay, here's the thing. Some of the biggest issues are between AI and real life people, right? And even further in both sections, by themselves and combined, there are discussions of how accurate those EAS simulations are, okay? And it is is it a divided community? It is insane. Because, look, all right, So here, let me give you the main thing that everyone seems to talk about at first, and it's this: there was the EAS community on YouTube, 5-8 years ago, and it was a thing, right? There were several channels that made those types of things. Now, granted, some of them were very noticeably like 11 and 12-year-olds that were making these things with like friends of theirs from school, right? You could absolutely tell that that's what was going on with it. Because it's just like, serious thunderstorm. Because back then they did ones that were normally just, regular stuff. Storms, tornadoes, maybe a nuclear war one here and there, but those were a little tougher to do, because you had to be able to piece together stuff on a more complicated level. When you're doing a weather one, it's really basic. You just have like a few screens and maybe some scrolling stuff. You have your EAS voice that goes off, and then you just kind of cut between a graphic of yourself, maybe some copyright-free music, and you cut in and out. Oh, hey, we got another thing going. But the problem with a lot of those in the early days is they were like literally kids doing these things. So you'd have, oh, hey everybody, it's me, I'm Billy, and I'm your host for tonight. And you're like, you're 12, dude. I would never believe that you would be on the air, much less guiding me through a disaster, right? And so it just kind of breaks the immersion. And that's one of the big problems that the community has over the years. That, look, we can't get immersed in this if you're literally 11 years old, and, we can't, it just, it's not realistic. So that's one of the things. The other thing that, happens 5-8 years ago, somewhere in there, the idea was that, like, you made this yourself, okay? You put it together yourself, you pieced it together yourself, you edited everything all like that, you audio balance and all that, and yes, maybe you got a bunch of people from your school to, help you with it. But you did it, right? You made the video, okay? You made every single part, and it may take you weeks to get that done. But that's what you had to do back then in order to get it done. Now, there were some AI voices back then. There were some sites that did it. They weren't great, okay? But some people use them occasionally for some of the radio, the news broadcaster voices on different channels, stuff like that. And so it wasn't bad. It was tolerable, and they were all labors of love by these people. Okay, they put them together themselves. They were proud of them. They put them out, and that's that's how the genre started. Well, so now we've got AI, and I mean, like, in the last 2 years or so, I keep hearing a chicken. In the last couple of years or so, 3 years, AI has just gotten better and better as we're going along. And so you're starting to see people that are making more AI stuff. Now, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago even, it was people that had to go and like put together a bunch of voices themselves. They had to put them down and record them off of a website here or there. If you wanted a mail, whatever, that Marcus Hale or whatever it is, you go and you record it, and phrase by phrase, and you can piece that stuff together. And that by itself is kind of admirable, right? If you're saying stuff once in a while as well, and not like I said on one of my posts, if it's 95% AI and you cut in every 10 minutes with a, oh my gosh, it's getting worse, and then that's literally all you say for 10 minutes and it's just AI otherwise, that's no. And I'll get to it in a second. I don't have a problem with it in general, but I have a problem with one thing. Well, more than one thing, but anyway, so back then it was still an editing fiasco. You had to put that stuff together, you had to get the sound effects and piece them in, and it was, still a challenge on a different level. Something that approaches making an actual radio drama yourself, with all the assets created yourself, everything like that. And there's still, I would imagine, quite a level of fulfillment, quite a level of accomplishment that these people get when they do those productions. And I'm sure if you talk to them back then, they will absolutely be like, yeah, dude, this is sweet. It took me, a week and a half or something. And some of them have tales about the free websites. You know, like I don't pay for any sites that I use for any voices or anything. I refuse. But some of them are like, you know, you have limitations, right? So you can only say like a certain number of words or a certain like period of time, right? And so you hear these stories about like how it took them 3 weeks because they had to wait for their free stuff to roll over and reset every couple of days or whatever it was. And it was like this whole tale, this whole experience. And that's part of the point of these things. When you do this much editing on something and you really are proud of it, there's a level of accomplishment and you know, you feel like you've done something tangible. Okay? It's still challenging to a certain extent. Now, EAS stuff has gotten very recently kind of oversaturated. Let me put it that way. So if you don't know how, Hulk. If you don't know how YouTube's algorithm works on a niche like EAS or something, right? It takes the number of videos that are out there, it looks at the kind of engagement that there is, it looks at the content of them, right? The length of them, the ones that are popular, the ones that are getting views, right? And when you have like, and the number of instances there are of it kind of shape the algorithm as well, because the algorithm goes, oh, well, this is popular, so I'm going to start churning this up and making it a little bit more available to people. Okay, well, when you're a channel that is AI and you're putting out, you know, a video every 3 days that's an hour and a half long and it's about some crazy, you know, something or other going on, right? And you keep doing that, you keep that pace up for weeks and weeks and months, what you're doing as an AI creator with 100% AI stuff, or 95%, you're flooding the algorithm with information that teaches it that's the preference that people have. Because a lot of people in the community that listen to this stuff, listen to it because it's just there, right? You hear a lot of people, go look at the comment sections on any of those videos, and one of the main types of comments you'll see is, oh my gosh, this is so cool, I fall asleep to it all the time, thank you so much, lol, right? And they think that they're like some like weird rebel or something because they because they fall asleep to this stuff or they use it to relax. Well, that's not odd. You know, some people just kind of relax to that stuff in general, being able to immerse in a story, in a horror story, right? And I relax to them as well. But what I'm noticing lately is there's a lot more people on those videos saying that they fall asleep to them. A lot more. And I'm one of those people that is like, I'm noticing, I'm like, later on after Mrs. Orpheus goes to bed and I'm staying up for a few hours, I like to put on something like that. But lately, with all the new stuff that's coming out and just getting cranked out, I still listen to it, but I don't actually listen to it because I'm like literally falling asleep more and losing more and more like a focus on the story and stuff. And I just, it's getting worse, And so part of the other big issue that people have in this community is the AI stuff. And look, it's entertaining for the most part. There are a lot of channels that do it right. And I'm not going to mention any names, but you guys, if you're in the community, you know what I'm talking about. There are a few channels that do it right. There are a few channels that actually put out stuff, then they might crank them out a bit. But there are a couple channels that don't, because they have to do, I would imagine, some editing, right? Like I said in one of my posts, these do take time. Okay, but they don't really take the same amount of effort, and that's sad, because all it is, when you just take time to do something and you don't really spend anything else, no real emotional involvement or anything like that, because what you did is you went and you typed in a prompt, and that prompt gave you an entire story, because the websites are out there now with monthly fees that you can go and create an entire EAS or any kind of audio production you want. Any kind of radio drama, podcast, radio interview between people, you can tell the prompt what you want. You can tell it how many people, how much time, what kind of breaks in, what kind of sound effects you want, and it will literally crank away and create an entire production. And then that person turns around, uploads it, and that's that. They're done with it until they do the next one in a day or two, right? It takes very little effort. It just takes time. Okay. Now, here comes the doozy. Because of the recent popularity of these kinds of things, right? Because of the boost in the algorithm, because of the boost in the algorithm that those have been getting, and I know because my Oort Cloud video has gotten a boost by the algorithm lately, and so it's kind of become a thing. Well, the problem is a bunch of these channels that popped up like a year ago or 2 years ago, doesn't matter when, especially though the more recent ones, right? The more recent channels that just popped up several months ago, and the subscribers went up to, thousands and thousands, and they immediately got monetized, and I don't have necessarily a problem with that for most of these channels, right? But if you are cranking out nothing but garbage over and over, the same plots just shuffled and rolled on dice, the same ideas just recycled over. Were you going to shut the door? The same ideas recycled over and over, the same, two voices or one voice. I'm tired of hearing Marcus Hale every time that I, want to hear some new interesting thing that it doesn't sound stupid. It's getting to the point where it's repetitive, it's boring, and it's inauthentic is what YouTube is starting to say, because they're starting to demonetize these channels, okay? And there are issues with this all around. YouTube is trying to crack down on AI stuff, and there's a small reason that I kind of know about that they might be toying with the idea of you type in a prompt of something that you want on YouTube, and it'll create it for you. You want a 2-hour video about the life of badgers, type it in, and it will give you a 2-hour video about the life of badgers. You want a podcast, it'll give you a podcast, right? You want a radio drama that's like World of Worlds, but it's instead chickens invading the world. Boom, you got it, right? So that's something that they're kind of toying with. We're almost there as it is. But it's also that it's just a flood of stuff. And YouTube has realized it's not the best business model to just shovel money at these people that just type in a prompt and go about their day. It's not a good idea because advertisers don't want that stuff. Now, one of the things that I keep hearing is this stuff, they're being demonetized and it's not fair. Okay, is it supposed to be fair? Are you expecting to make money off of this as a living? If you are kind of like investing in high-risk stocks. Like it could go great. It could suddenly be all over tomorrow if your channel gets striked or you lose your monetization or something. But the thing is, if you're a creator who cranks away for years, right? And I'm not talking about myself. I'm not doing this for money. I've never done this for money, right? I've always done this for fun, for a living memoir. Damn it. Again, this developers, why did you do this? We don't need this. We don't need to confirm it. Are you sure? Yes. Where was I? Problems. Okay, so what I've noticed is the idea is that AI has become inauthentic, and these people are getting demonetized. Okay, they're losing their the YouTube is no longer willing to support their efforts financially in just making endless stuff. Okay, and a lot of them are getting really mad about it. Fair, right? Oh, that's where I was. Fairness. It's not justified. It's not fair. Okay. One thing that I'm just going to tell any of you like that are like, well, this isn't fair that they're just going to take away the money. Okay. Fairness. Justified. You realize that by making content on YouTube that you become the product, right? That you are the product that YouTube turns around and sells to advertisers, right? So the bigger you are, Mr. Animal, I'll say, because I don't want to trigger anything weird. The big guys, the ones that have millions and millions of subscribers and millions of views on each video, right? Those people are a viable product for YouTube, for Alphabet, for Google, right? They are an absolute product for them. They are a viable product. They make lots of money for these people, okay? For the execs, for the stockholders, for everybody, okay? So when you make content on YouTube and you freely upload it, because, hey folks, read the terms and conditions here on YouTube, that becomes not their property, but like you are now, they're able to use it. Okay, they're able to advertise with it. They're able to do anything they want. They can sell ad time on it. They can do anything they want to do with your content in terms of that. Okay, so that's one thing that people miss. Okay, so if you're the product, they can do whatever they want with you. They can sell you. They can push you down in the algorithm. They can push you up in the algorithm. And the algorithm kind of sucks. It does, especially when you're a creator. But the thing is, here's the big issue. The ones that have been getting demonetized lately have first said, oh, I want to, they're threatening demonetization. I've put in an appeal, and we're just going to wait. Okay. But they're like, at first they're like, we're going to keep making content. It's a great thing to do. We're going to see what we can do with this channel, maybe a Patreon or something like that. Okay, stay tuned. And you're like, okay, I guess. But in the same one, there are a couple that said, hey, if you want to help me with the content so I don't get flagged for AI stuff, get in touch with me. You can be my voice talent, okay? And then you keep reading, and he's like, so what I'll do is I'll take your voice and I'll AI clone it, and then I'll be able to use it. And then if I need something more emotional, I'll call you and you can record some more lines for me. Will he pay you? No, he's not going to pay you. He'll get paid if he gets remonetized, but you won't, right? Okay, so that's one of the things. It's like it kind of scratched me the wrong way. It's like, really, you're gonna do that? So because think about it, if you pass away, right, and your family is just watching YouTube or something, and one of them happens to like EAS stuff, and they're just relaxing, right? And you've been, don't show me your junk, dude. And you've been gone for, I don't know, 6 months or something, right? Could you die, please? You've been gone like 6 months, and they're watching an EAS video, and suddenly your voice is the damn narrator for the entire thing. That's gonna traumatize the... Are you okay? That's gonna traumatize people, right? It's it's gonna make people feel very bad about things, and it's just suddenly you don't own your voice anymore, basically, right? Okay, you gave it to the guy voluntarily, and now he's using it, and it can be horrible. Okay. So then a few days go by. A few days go by, and by the power of Grayskull. And so you find out that YouTube is doing mass exodus cleanouts, right? They are getting rid of all of that nonsense. And so they're starting to demonetize channels en masse, right? They're starting to go after these channels, and they are just they're not shutting them down. They're not saying you can't do this stuff, right? They're saying, we're not going to pay you for it. Okay, well, here's the thing. Are you an artist, creator? Those of you making these things, are you an artist, right? Or are you a business person? Okay? I want you to think about that question very carefully. Are you an artist, or are you a business person? Because if you're a business person, then your content should be good enough to stand on its own. Okay? Go to Patreon. Start a Patreon. Charge people monthly to see your stuff. And I mean, like, charge them the same thing that you would have got from YouTube. Okay? Charge them a good amount, because your product is obviously good enough that it'll stand on its own. Right? No marketing. You'll do the marketing yourself. You'll put it up for people yourself. You'll make it available for literally millions of people a day. Okay? And you will become successful on your own. Because again, obviously, if you are a business person, you want to put out the best product available, right? You want the best quality that can possibly exist in order to put out a viable product, right? So why are you upset when they decide they no longer want to host your material because you're making money off of something that takes basically no effort? Time, but not effort. Okay? Now, here's the issue. These people, if you were an artist, creator, you would be creating your art. Okay? You would be creating your art. You would be doing this for the love of doing it. Okay? And I want to give, because what these people are doing is they're saying, well, now that I'm demonetized, I'm no longer going to be able to make content. Sorry, that's just not feasible anymore, not going to be able to do it. Okay, well, here's the thing. You just gave away a big secret about yourself, creator. You just revealed that you're doing it for the money. You're not doing it for the art. You're not doing it for the entertainment. Oh, and you might say you are. Oh, you might say you are, but you're not. Okay? You're doing it for the money, for the paycheck. You're putting together this thing on a prompt, and you're going along with it, and you just sell it off. But you don't sell it off. You upload it, and you go, gosh, I hope this makes money. For me, when I upload something, I'm like, gosh, I hope this entertains people. That's it. I just want to know if it's entertaining. I just want to know if it's something that people enjoy. And even if no one watches it, it's still there for me, my wife, and anyone that knows me to enjoy if I'm gone, or if I'm in a coma, or if I'm just old, okay? Or if I'm just bored, right? I occasionally watch my own videos to remind myself about some things that have happened in my life, because since I started doing this channel, I have lost a good amount of my memory. I have a progressive condition, okay? And so I use this as kind of a living memoir. So, the problem that I have with these people saying, oh, I am not going to do this anymore because it's just not financially feasible. If it becomes feasible at some point in the future, we will come back and start making content, but no longer. Okay, really? You're going to do that? You have that many subscribers, and you've been cranking out material, which is obviously not tough to do because you're doing it every 3 days. And so now you're upset that you're not going to make money off of that anymore? All right, bro. Well, now you've opened up something. You've done something in the legal, in law or in court law, it's called opening the door, I think is what it's called. And here it comes. Because this is going to be one of those times, one of those rare times on Orpheus Plays where I'm going to be kind of a douchebag. Okay? I'm going to be kind of a dick about something, and it is this. I am a person who grew up with a number of famous voices around, right? Everyone from Anthony Perkins to Tom Brokaw to Peter Jennings and Alfred Hitchcock and Robin Williams and Jack Nicholson and just all these people that have been iconic voices through the years, okay? And there's one channel that uses those voices, okay? And look, his stuff is innovative. His stuff is fun. His stuff is decent, except for when he starts going into all these other weird plots. It's like, look, I've never seen any of this franchise that you're doing this one about, and it doesn't make sense to me. Right? So, that's the thing. Like, when he gets into the weirder stuff, I'm a little bit less, enthused about it. But he does genuinely entertaining work, okay? But when he's upset that he's now no longer monetized and says that he's not going to be able to make content anymore because it's no longer going to make him money, now the issue becomes you're upset that you're not allowed to make money off of the voices of dead people. The voices of people who have estates. The voices of people who have families and they still have agents. The people who manage their intellectual property, okay? There are people that own that stuff. Like, fully. Alfred Hitchcock is still a registered and copyrighted intellectual property. Everything about him, from his outline silhouette on some of the old Alfred Hitchcock Presents to his good evening, that is a registered trademark thing. Everything about him is registered and trademarked. Now, I am doing a Doctor Who EAS, okay? I'm putting one together right now as we speak. Well, not as we speak, but right now in terms of the time frame. I'm doing one right now. Now, one of the things that I have on there as a disclaimer is this is a BBC property and I'm doing a fan tribute. So I am not going to expect to make any money off of this. And as a matter of fact, wow, I just tore him apart. And as a matter of fact, if I ever do make money on it, I 100% expect the BBC to copyright strike me and take every single dime of anything that I make off of that. I am absolutely expecting that to happen, right? But this guy's mad about not getting paid for using dead people's voices, for using the voices of people that don't belong to him, that he's using for a 2-hour or 3-hour or 4-hour, EAS scenario, where you're just you're just using these people as ventriloquist puppets, right? And it's, if you did it for fun and you did it for, the art of it, the innovation of it, the entertainment value of it, awesome, right? But the moment that you're like, damn it, I'm not going to get paid for this anymore, dude, you crossed a line, right? Now, let's circle back to the toxic EAS community, because suddenly I find myself thrust into the middle of it. And I suppose I'm part of that toxic community, but not the way you think, because I see both sides. I see all the stuff. I see that there isn't a genuine effort that still goes on by a lot of channels to make stuff that is immersive. It's not silly. It's not stupid all the time. It's not like, just dumb plots and goofy stuff anymore. People don't like to see that as much anymore because it ruins the entire idea of the EAS scenario simulations. Because those are meant to be spooky. They're meant to be immersive. They're meant to make you go, oh my God, like to make the hair stand up in the back of your neck. And when I first discovered this community, I was absolutely like that. I'm not gonna lie, man. When I was listening to some of those in the early days, I went and got a weapon, right? I went and had a weapon sitting next to me on the couch because it was just that kind of spooked out, right? But nowadays it's it doesn't do anything. The newer stuff that people are cranking out is just I guess it's entertaining, something to listen to, it's just background music now, it's there, and we can do better. Because the community is getting slowly messed up by the AI people that are just going for money instead of going for art. So anyway, like I said, I've been thrust into the middle of this entire thing, and I see it, man, I see it. I see the EAS, the AI stuff and the value that it has, but it should be augmenting what you do. I have voices on my upcoming EAS that are AI voices, but they talk for a minute or a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and that's it. They're not the narrators. They're not the main characters. They're not always talking. I don't have a 10-minute scene with the Doctor where we're going back and forth talking about Doctor Who stuff. That's not what, that's not what it's for. It's supposed to be for augmenting any talent or any ability that you want a little help with, all right? Not for creating an entire thing that you will now sell to the world, okay? And this has been the idea. This is what blows my mind. I turned to Mrs. Orpheus last night and I said this. What if Picasso or Van Gogh, right, had been nah, I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm not going to keep, I'm not going to keep making my paintings. I don't feel like it. I'm not getting paid for this, so whatever, right? You wouldn't have the artists cranking out the good stuff, right? Van Gogh, brilliant artist, but if he had he couldn't give his paintings away, right? And so if he had been no, I'm not making money off this. I'm just gonna stop painting, whatever. But he wouldn't have done that because he was an artist. I will never stop making content if YouTube gives me money out of some weird benevolence and then decides to take it away for whatever. I'm not going to put out a post that says, well, guys, I'm not getting paid anymore. I guess you can't do it anymore. If you guys want to support me, I might think about doing a Patreon or something. I'm never going to be like that. I'm going to keep putting out content when it's fun for me, when it's something I want to do, and when it's something I think can be entertaining for you. Not you, but for you, the listener, for you. Anyway, that's my really, really long thing today. God, I got a good workout today. Anyway, I hope it kind of like gets you the idea of what's going on. It's just so muddled and messed up and stuff. And it's like, the funny thing is about that guy that told me about the toxic community that I went and discovered is he almost immediately got toxic with me. Like attacked one of my things on my podcast about like, you're completely wrong about this stuff. It's my opinions. I can't be wrong about this stuff. So, it's like he immediately showed me how toxic the community actually is without even knowing it, maybe. Anyway, that's my thing for today. We'll see you next time here on Orpheus Plays. Be good. Do good. Treat yourself well because you know what? You absolutely deserve it. See you next time. Bye.